until now, I don't even think about being accepted in the wellness community because we really just created our own.
Welcome to the Business Mindset Podcast, where we document the stories of Black entrepreneurs around Canada. I am your host, Nina Barango, and together we will explore the world of entrepreneurship through the journeys of our incredible guests. Let's get started. Hi, Kimberly. Hi, Shanelle. How are you? I like the synchronized hi. Did y'all plan that?
Listen, it just happened.
It just happened.
It just happens.
How are you doing? How's your day going? What's going on? Tell me a bit about yourselves, what you do at the Villij. Let us know.
Yeah, so my day's going okay. I would say, we stay busy over here. My name is Shanelle, co-founder here, again, along with Kim. A little bit about myself. Where do I start? I am, from Montreal, came to Toronto about 7 years ago when we started the Villij. And I'm a mom, I'm a partner, and I have a real passion for wellness.
I love that. I have so many questions about that, but Kimberly, tell me a bit about you.
Yeah, so first off, I'm having a great day. We're here. Very happy to be in our space, which honestly, just saying that is, I get into the feels every single time. Just the fact that we can even say that. But for me, in terms of who I am, or a little bit more about me, I am a daughter, also born and raised in Montreal, come from a very vibrant Jamaican family, and I'm a learner. Like, I really spend a lot of time just learning and trying new things. So that's very important to me in life. And of course, I'm here with my best friend as the other, I always like to say I'm Chanel's other half, despite her other half at home. But yeah, I'm a creative and really just a visionary.
So let's talk about this best friendship. Mm-hmm. You guys met at work.
Yeah.
In the bathroom.
Yeah.
The best place to meet people.
You know what? That's facts. Yeah. But like at work though, like I just feel like I always have like a resting beach face where it's like, don't speak to me.
Well, let's talk about that. So I met Kim in passing. A coworker was kind of bringing me around the office like, girl, you need to meet the other Black people in the office. And I was like, okay. So when I met Kim, she was like, hi, like very shy. I wouldn't say she has a resting bitch face, but she was just very shy, very quiet. So I was like, okay, I wonder if she's going to be one of those Black girls that are not
I know
very
the ones.
like,
I know the ones.
So I was like, okay, whatever. Like we met, we said hi and bye in passing. But funny enough, we realized, hey, you're still here. We were in two totally different departments. Kim was in marketing. And I was in the translation department.
Okay.
So funny enough, we just met in the bathroom and started talking about our hopes and dreams, really, which was so funny. Our love for travel, our love and need for community. And just realizing that at the time, Montreal didn't have exactly what we needed. And, we had a bunch of lunches to kind of connect on like our family's roots and how we were so emboldened by and inspired by our families and our grandmothers and their hard work, and just seeing like how can we show up for the community. So our contracts ended in December, and about a week later Kim called me and she's like, I have an idea, we should start something. And if you know anything about me, like I'm chill. I kind of go with the flow. And I'm excitable at the same time. So I was like, yeah, we should start something. Didn't fully know what that meant. We just know that we wanted to show up for community and create spaces that we were tired of seeing in the States only. Yeah. And we're like, how do we change that? So that's really how the Villij started. It was very simple and organic. And I just felt like Kim was like that instant girl.
Yeah. Now, what's really interesting is that the time between, where we were meeting for the very first time, introduced by another coworker, to the point where I called her, it had only been 6 months. And so another thing too is that like outside of lunchtime, we weren't hanging out. We were really outside just coworkers at that point. Okay. And so it was the holidays. I went away. I did a road trip, and it was really just God that spoke to me about like, it's time to do something. And I was like, I need to do that with someone. And like her name came up on my spirit.
Yeah.
And so when I came back to Montreal, I called her and I was like, yo, I don't know what I really want to create, but I want to create something. And I feel like you're the person I need to create this thing with, right? And so it's only at that point that I can say like our friendship actually started.
Really and truly. It was based on the foundation of the Villij.
Yeah.
And funny enough, I think the reason why maybe I came on to your spirit was that I had a different upbringing as well. Like I'm from Montreal, but I grew up in the States. I saw, different things, different ways of living. And then Kim lived in Asia and kind of saw some great things over there as well. So it was like we had a more worldly view than the folks who we were, used to seeing in Montreal, who kind of were just born and raised there and stayed forever.
Right. I think what I really like is that like you guys were actually able to connect on this. I don't know about you guys, but I'm fake at work. Like everything Facts. I say in the office is a lie.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah.
But you guys were able to connect on your love for this, and also based on your experiences outside Canada, you were able to bring this home.
Yes.
If I'm hearing you correctly, though, the Villij started in Montreal.
Correct.
Yes.
How did you end up in Toronto? Because right now we're in Toronto.
Yeah, exactly. So once we decided we were going to start something, we wanted to focus on kind of one of our highlighted wellness experiences, which was our journeys to different yoga studios. Right. And so we were like, okay, you know what? Like, let's recreate that yoga experience. Like, if we were to create it from the ground up, what would that look like?
Yeah.
And so we started to imagine and just kind of like put pen to paper on the elements of the experience we wanted for ourselves. Like, how, if I'm going to yoga, this is what I want to experience. This is how I want to feel. And so we were like, we're going to do that. And then we created TrapSoul Yoga. So TrapSoul Yoga was our very first like Villij experience, and it was basically a pop-up experience. And so we were like meeting on the weekends at cafes and like trying to create this thing, calling up yoga studios to see like, can we rent the space? What can we do? Yeah. And so once we kind of like figured that out, it was in June. So another 6 months after we were like, we're gonna start something, is when we hosted our very first experience. And then Shanelle's like, oh yeah, by the way, I moved into Toronto. I'm like, what? What you mean you moved to Toronto? Like, we just started this thing.
So about 10 days after we did our first event, I moved to Toronto.
Yeah.
And then we said, you know what? We're going to divide and conquer. Kim staying in Montreal, me in Toronto. We decided to continue our pop-ups. We did that pop-up model until basically, September of 2023. Right? So we've been popping up for 7 years, and that's when the studio, presented itself, and we decided to take that leap in November of 2023.
Interesting. Okay, so let's back up for a bit. Mm-hmm. We're still June 2017. I was trying to do the math for some reason. Yeah. I don't know about y'all, but the first time I went to yoga, because I was feeling fresh, I was feeling like trying something new. I wanted to be one of the girls.
Yes, of course.
I stepped in and I'm like,
you ain't one of the girls.
I ain't one of the girls.
Where the girls at?
What is going on? I remember thinking to myself, what is going on here?
Yeah.
And I stepped out real quick because I was like, this is not my vibe.
Yeah.
Yes.
But now I'm hearing TrapSoul Yoga. Just from the name, I'm signed up because I'm like, I'm going to have a great time.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine what it must have been for both of y'all, like calling up places, trying to find a space at a rate you can afford.
Exactly.
Because that was your first time, so it's not like there was money in the bank.
No, bootstrap.
Bootstrap. Like, put the boots on, strap them up, take decor from the house.
Right.
We did, you name it, we did it. Wow. And funny enough, you said like, you realized that you weren't one of the girls when you came in. We felt the same way.
Right.
When I had done my first yoga experience, it was in LA, 2014. And it was a terrible experience for me. It was very Caucasian, very thin. The teacher, and at that time, like, sis was thinner than she is now. So it was just a very unique experience because, as the only Black woman in the room, I realized that, like, even the way they're saying to move and, certain things like that, I was like, this is not sitting well with me, or like, it wasn't as accessible. Like, okay, modifications weren't there. And then I was wearing a wig at the time. It was a hot yoga class.
Make it stop.
And the instructor came around massaging people's heads without consent.
Yeah.
So I vowed to never go back to yoga. I said, this is not for me. First of all, my lace front does not need a massage.
Jump scare.
I probably had set it off braids right under it. Okay, Queen Latifah set it off braids, okay? And I was just over it. And I was like, this is embarrassing and I'm never going back. So when we thought of yoga, we were, seeing the beautiful yoga experiences in the States and really wanting to experience that ourselves and realizing that part of the reason why we don't or didn't enjoy some of the wellness experiences in Canada, one, obviously representation was lacking, but two, the music was whack.
Tell me
the
about
music
it.
was terrible.
Tell me about it.
Okay. So we decided, like, we really love R&B. Bryson Tiller was like our guy at the time.
The guy at the time.
Yeah, the guy. And he had kind of like those R&B beats.
This was 2017.
Yeah.
TrapSoul era.
TrapSoul era, right?
Yeah,
so we said, you know what? TrapSoul Yoga is what it's going to be called. And honestly, it's been a hit ever since.
I love that. What would you say the reception was like? Was it like immediate open arms? Was it a struggle at first? What was it like? Immediate?
Immediate. When I tell you the tickets sold out. We did very, very little pushes for that. At the time, we created an Instagram account. That was something that was coming up. We had a little flyer posted. We did the little Facebook run, and it sold out. With folks that we knew, folks that we never met. And what was even more interesting was the fact that from that very first event where there was about 30 women, at least 60% of them, it was their very first time doing yoga. And so for us, seeing that we had created something that had gained the interest of the women in our community instantly, we were like, okay, we definitely have something here. And clearly, these spaces are needed.
Yeah. The thing about Black people is that they will either reaffirm you or tell you you're doing absolute crap.
Yeah.
And once you see that hunger for something, especially from people you don't know, because it's one thing for friends and family to show up to support the sister, you know, but it's something else for absolute strangers to say, I want to do this. That is like reaffirmation on another level that this is needed.
Listen, we were feeling nice.
Oh, yeah. I can imagine.
And one thing that my partners always said is Black people just want to feel like they're invited to something.
That's true.
They'll show up if they're invited.
That's true.
And that is so real.
Yeah.
Right? Because when you look at the yoga imagery, almost to this day, like, let's be so real. You can always tell when there's a model, like a POC model.
They'll just sprinkle it in.
Yeah, just sprinkle it in a little bit, but you can tell what the energy is going to be like. But I feel like when you're saying for women of color, you know it's your space. You know that you're going to feel uplifted. You know that you might not be the only one in the room with some hips. Or, you know what I mean? Like, all that matters. Yeah, all that matters.
So I think it's beautiful how the community accepted this. But what I'm a bit curious about is how you guys were accepted as founders in the wellness space. We've already established that it's very white dominated.
Yes, definitely.
Very thin, very specific type of person.
Right.
What was your experience like breaking into it in Montreal, coming into Toronto? Let's start from Montreal. What was that like?
Yeah. I think the very unique experience for us was that we weren't asking for permission. We, until now, I don't even think about being accepted in the wellness community because we really just created our own.
Yeah.
And so for us, we, Shanelle and I, we're not yoga teachers. We weren't meditation guides. And so we already didn't have a network right, of those folks. And we never even thought to ask for permission.
No.
Because we didn't need permission.
That's true.
And I think that is something that has always stood out with the Villij and just everything we create, where it's like, we see what's already out there. And we decide that we're going to create for us and the homegirls. And so we consistently show up in that way. I think we've had some great opportunities of working with brands in the wellness community and industry who have accepted us at face value because we show up as ourselves.
Yeah.
But outside of that, we're not asking for permission.
Yeah, we're in our own world. I got to be honest. It's so funny because folks are like, "Oh, do you know this owner of this other studio?" We don't know anyone, really and truly. Like we don't know anyone. We're literally in our own world. And it's not even like you can't, talk to us or sit with us. It's just like we're very much in our own world, and like we've just created this microcosm of
a village, really.
A village, yeah.
Yeah, and I guess I understand what you're saying in terms of I didn't need permission, because truly you didn't. You were creating for your people.
Yeah.
You don't need anybody to tell you this is what you need.
Yeah.
But I also understand, like, from your point, do you know this person? Do you have this network?
Yeah.
Does that sometimes feel isolating, or does that feel empowering? I'm just trying to figure out the dynamic of working in almost being like pioneers.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I think sometimes it's great to, which is interesting because I feel like when we do look for advice or if we have questions, we go to folks in other industries.
Oh, okay.
And I think that's that self-starter, pioneer kind of train of thought where it's like, I have a background in tech as well. So for me, it's like, I'm not looking so much as like what other wellness companies are doing necessarily. I'm looking at like what's happening in tech. I'm looking at what's happening in food and beverage. I'm looking at like other industries.
Right.
And even our network till this day, we know a lot of folks, but they operate in various industries.
Yes.
And I think that's important,
yes,
especially as business owners. It's like to step outside of what's happening in your quote unquote world. So that you have a better understanding of, the trends, or you have a better understanding of what our community members, what their behaviors are, right? Because it's like, we want to know, like, folks that come to our studio, what music they listen to. We want to know where they eat. We want to know what they do on their day-to-day.
Yeah.
So it is important for us to kind of have our ear to the street and see what's happening in other industries.
And I'll say we approach business, like this business, very differently. We have a walk-in club. You know what I mean? Like we do TrapSoul Yoga. That's something that we created. We created a card game called Just Checking In, where we do an experience. So we just do things very differently. We're not a yoga studio. You know what I mean? So even when it comes to like networking for that, like it's cool. But we're always in our own world, in our own lane, and always dreaming and aspiring to create change. So yeah, it's just interesting to connect with folks outside of the industry to get that inspiration as well.
Yeah, you know what I really like, and what I feel like I resonate with as well, especially because my business that I do, more so creating a community for Black entrepreneurs in Canada, when I launched at first, for me, it felt very isolating because I didn't really see people doing it on the level I wanted to do it.
Yeah.
And to your point, I had to look around me, maybe not necessarily from people similar, but from people successful in what they were doing and learning from them and realizing that knowledge is not really streamlined or boxed up. It's everywhere around you. And also, like you said, listening to your community. What is my community like? Not necessarily what my neighbor is doing or my competitor is doing. But my audience, what do they want from me?
Exactly.
I love that.
Yeah. And I think also just another thing that's different with us is that like we have each other. So that makes it less isolated.
Yes.
I think if we, if it was just Shanelle or if it was just myself, I think we would feel the isolation a lot more.
Yeah.
That's true.
It's funny. A lot of our like founders of other companies that we are pretty close with, they're like, you two are so lucky that you have each other.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. Honestly, we meet almost daily for something. We're in the Villij daily, which for better or for worse, that's what we do. And it's so funny, during the pandemic, my partner's like, oh my gosh, you guys meet every day. Like, what do you guys have to talk about? But once he saw how we kept growing during the hardest time for everyone.
Yeah.
He's like, I get it now. He's like, you taught me how to work harder.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
So, for this week, where are we at for Saturday?
So Saturday we have 10 so far, which is not bad.
Yeah.
But we still have to get the mics and everything like that as well. I'm working on the giveaway with Lulu. Okay. So Lulu got back to me. They're able to support 2 things.
Yeah, of course.
No, not meaning it's either all the giveaways and a class pack.
Okay.
Or get us outfits and a class pack. We can decide, or we do giveaways and an outfit. We can decide, but the fact that they're doing 2 out of 3 is really pretty good. Really good. Yeah, I'm excited.
Like the outfits in the class pack. Because the thing is, what I'm thinking is like, what's something that is going to get folks to continue their practice?
Facts.
Right? We do have some folks that are coming in maybe for the first time.
Yeah.
Or we have folks that already have a membership, but maybe they can come more. Also,
we've done a lot of giveaways for them. Yeah. So I think at this point, just having we need new fits.
And what's valuable is going to be the classes.
The class.
The classes are what's valuable. Did they say 5 or 10?
Unsubscribe from this.
You know what? That doesn't work. You have to do it directly in the email.
Who is the one that goes in for the hug, and who is the one that says, I'm not a hug person?
Depends on the day. I think we're both huggers.
We're both huggers.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the pandemic, though, because 2017 up until 2020, y'all were flying to the moon. You were seeing growth. You were selling out. Then COVID hit. What happened?
Yeah, when COVID hit, we took about 2 weeks to figure out what we were going to do. Previously, in 2019, up until November or December, we had a residency at a local yoga studio where we're doing a yoga class a month, right? Then the pandemic hit, and we're like, okay, what the heck are we going to do? Because we were planning to do a few times monthly at this space. And we decided to respond by doing TrapSoul Yoga at home, which was an online subscription to our TrapSoul Yoga experience. I believe it was once a week or once every 2 weeks, once a week. And we created that space for our folks to just be able to move at home, but also within community. So we did that via Zoom, which was great response. Folks from the Caribbean, the UK, United States, Canada were joining. So we realized, okay, we're onto something. But Kim and I are dreamers, as I've said before, and we decided we weren't going to stop there. So after TrapSoul Yoga at Home, we created an online subscription called Inner Villij. Inner Villij was a holistic approach to wellness. So we had therapists on board on the team. We had our yoga practitioners. We had bar classes. We had weekly workshops.
Yeah.
Weekly. There was time... My head hurts thinking about it. You don't understand.
The production and operations of it all.
I handle the programming at the Villij. So just having all of those meetings to get everybody on board, to creating those workshops with the folks. It was just insane how we were able to come together as a team and create this offering.
Yeah.
Do you wanna add to that?
Yeah, I think 2020 for everyone was just a time for healing. Right? It's like there was so much going on. And it was like, you have to pay attention to healing, whether you wanted to or not.
Yeah.
And so us being able to move in the way that we do and show up for our community in the way that we did. Like, as Shanelle said, like in 2 weeks, we came up with a plan. Like, how are we going to show up for this community? You know, like folks are really going through it right now.
Yeah. People were scared.
Yeah. When I think back to the things we did in the pandemic out of fear, boredom, like, I don't even know the adjectives to describe what we were feeling. We were out here doing things.
Yeah.
So when I hear that you guys were hosting virtual yoga classes and all of that, I'm like, that is excellence. That is like pivoting 101. Like,
yes,
how can I still show up regardless of the setbacks?
100%.
And I feel like for me as an entrepreneur, the pandemic almost like rewired my brain chemistry. Yes. So it almost feels like regardless of what comes, there's always a way around it. If we could all survive, rest in peace to the people that couldn't, but like if we could all come through on the other side, businesses are still standing, you're still here to say the story. I just feels like we are almost unstoppable. And it's such a mindset shift where you go from blaming and complaining and just focusing on what's stopping you to how can I go around this?
Definitely.
100%. And so, I'll be honest, Kim and I thought we were working real hard during the pop-ups, like real hard. Pandemic showed us we could work even harder. And I kid you not, without the pandemic, we wouldn't have this studio today.
Absolutely.
Because when we implemented, definitely TrapSoul Yoga at home was cute. It was some work, don't get me wrong, but Inner Village was like crazy work. It had a whole online forum. We had libraries. We had everything. It was insane. I still don't know how we did it. It feels like a fever dream. Okay. But that showed us that we can work even harder and the things that we create can be beautiful. There are Inner Village members that we met in 2021 that are still coming to the studio today.
Wow.
Yeah. Right? So we really have created a village, and even in the hardest of times, our village has prevailed. So that's what that's taught us. And the fight keeps going, right?
It doesn't stop.
It does not. Listen, entrepreneurship can be really ghetto sometimes.
Oh my God. There's always something.
I cannot believe that like the amount of pivots we've had to do, like I should be an NBA player at this point.
You know what? I feel like that's so real because like people look at small business owners or entrepreneurs and like, oh, that's your little business. It's cute. Yeah. But like it's a whole degree. Like
facts.
Every day you learn something.
Yes.
You figure out a new strategy that even MBA profs might not even know because they don't own businesses. So it's like sometimes I have to think to myself, like, you're actually kind of a hero. Like think about that instead of like downplaying the work that goes in, because I guess a lot of times like people are passionate about what they do and so they kind of downplay the work that goes in because it's their passion.
Yes.
But when you look back and you realize that like you were saying, I was doing online forums, I'm doing this, I'm onboarding therapists, I'm doing this, it's like that is like 5 job descriptions in one.
And we're still doing 5 in 1, by the way.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay, so Kim, the last time we left you were still in Montreal. Did you move to Toronto during the pandemic or after?
I have not moved to Toronto.
Okay. I assumed that you were sitting here with us.
Most people do. Most people do. I still live in Montreal.
Okay.
And so right now, since we've had the studio, I'm here a lot more.
Right.
Toronto, I'm probably here like 2 to 3 weeks out of the month. I'm in Toronto, but I still live in Montreal.
Are you still running the village in Montreal then?
So we had taken a break to focus on kind of what was happening in Toronto. And this summer we are doing quite a few pop-up experiences in Montreal.
Okay, I love that. How do you juggle 2 cities?
I want to know that too. You know what? I think when you have a vision and you see exactly everything happening and going according to, God's plan and just timing, you trust the process. No matter how sometimes it feels like it's, sometimes it just feels like, what am I doing? How can I do this? I get through it. I really do with the back and forth. And it's just work that I'm so passionate and proud of. And there's like nothing else I want to do. So I do it. I just get it done.
That's it.
Yeah.
I don't remember if you've told me this before. Do you do this full time or do you have a job?
Full time now.
Full time now?
Yes.
You're transitioning to full time.
I'll be full time next week, baby.
She's full time next week.
Let's talk about that. Yeah. I guess my question is, at what point did both of you, obviously both passionate from day one.
Yeah.
That's not a question. At what point did you realize, were you always full time?
No,
right?
So I just became full-time in October. So literally like a few weeks before we got the studio.
Okay. So at what point did you realize this is gonna take me out of the ghetto, for lack of a better word?
Put us in another ghetto.
We're in a different ghetto. It's just got beaches now.
Stop. Okay. At what point did you realize it's time to do this full time?
Ooh, that's a great question.
For myself, honestly, when your 9 to 5 is starting to make you a person that you're not. You see how I smile in the Village?
I see it.
I was not smiling at my 9 to 5. Yeah. So that's when I realized that, like, okay, I'm losing sleep over other folks' objectives. I'm not really living in my purpose. And remember, I have a daughter. So, and I have a household to uphold.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So it wasn't an easy decision, but I knew it was a decision that I had to make. And do I think it's going to be easy? No. But it's definitely something where I feel like the Village deserves both of our attention at this point. We have been lucky and grateful to have, you know, educators, our yoga teachers, our Pilates teachers, and we've had some support to open up the studio here and there. But nothing, you know, I'm just realizing that I need to be here. I need to be here more. I need to be here. I need to meet the members. I need to get to know our community. That was always our power. We have community members that, you know, have turned into friends.
Right.
So we need to keep that same energy up. And honestly, again, the Village deserves both of our attention because I've been doing this off the side of my desk. There's times where Kim's been doing it off the side of her desk. And look how far we've gotten. Yeah. How far can we get when we're both fully in?
That's it. And I think it's just a matter of like when opportunity meets preparation. We've been preparing for this.
Yeah.
And there just reaches a point where it's like, you have to acknowledge that you are ready for this opportunity and that you can use this opportunity to bring other opportunities.
Yes.
And so for me, that was the deciding factor back in October. It was like, okay, we're gonna, you know, there were talks about getting the studio. And so it was like, okay, I think this is the time. So
I think everything happened the way it was supposed to as well. With Kim transitioning in October, without her if she wasn't full time, we wouldn't have been able to launch this properly. I'll say that.
Yeah.
And of course, I've always done what I could after I log off. Thankfully, my 9 to 5 was like 7 to 3. So I could log off at 3, get things done. Yeah. But it's still, you know, not enough. Like, yeah, it's still not enough to do it after 3. I'll just say that. And it's exhausting.
It's so exhausting, man.
Sis, I know, because when I see you, sometimes I'm like, I know she had a long day at work.
It's so exhausting because it's like half the time I'm at work and I'm thinking to myself, why am I here?
Right.
Like, it's like, and I'm sure they know that, like,
they know.
I know. And it's just a waiting game at this point. Like, who's going to be chicken? Like,
yeah.
But I feel you so much when you say that, like, we've come this far with, like, juggling 2 things. How far can we go if we put all of our energy? Because the truth is that there's so much mental work that goes into a full-time job and also running a business. They're both very mentally tasking in different ways. And it's like you're not giving 100% to either or.
Correct.
Exactly.
So at some point you have to sit with yourself and say, sis, what are we doing?
Exactly.
I'm getting there soon.
Well, that's it. So my breaking point was just things every month was happening at my 9 to 5. And I walked into the living room and I told my partner, hey, like, I need to give the Village a shot and I need this to happen now. And he said, okay, put in your 2 weeks. Was it an easy decision? No. But, you know, he's a good man, Savannah.
He's a good man. I'll say that a lot. He's a good man.
He really is. He really is.
space. First of all, beautiful, absolutely stunning.
Thank you.
How did you find it? How did you get it? And how do you keep it?
Well, yeah, let's start. How did we find out about the space?
So we used to rent this space.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah. So we popped up in this space from about March to the end of the year.
2023.
Yeah. And we were doing great. 2 to 3 times a month, we were having sold out experiences.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then the studio owner came to us and said, I'm done. And I'm like, what you mean you're done? I like our arrangement. You know what I mean? I like it here.
Yeah.
And she saw the work that we were doing with our community, and she said, Shanelle, I want to give it to you guys. And I'm like, what do you mean give it to us?
Wow.
How much is it anyways? Like, what do you mean give it to us?
Stop.
And she's like, no, I want to transition out, and you are the best community for this space. So essentially, an angel came down.
Yes.
And handed us this space.
Yes.
That is a miracle.
And I remember talking to Kim, like, listen, because we kind of felt something like, she's not going to keep this open forever. But we were, in our own world, like, okay, we're still going to center all our dates. Like, and I remember Kim and I were kind of going through the numbers, like, okay, can we do this?
Right.
And feeling that self-doubt, but being like, damn, well, this never happens like this. You don't get a beautiful space to just walk into with everything that you need. And maybe you just have to get a few things.
Wow. Few things.
Wow.
And she's literally, I don't think I've told her enough how much she's invested in this community. And it's almost like she made this space so that we can exist in this way.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That is so inspiring.
Yeah.
Are you guys going to keep her on your board or something? Keep her around?
Definitely.
Yeah, no,
definitely. We're in constant communication with her.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Have to keep folks like that around.
How did that make you feel though? Taking such a big step, having someone trust you that much with something so big?
Yes.
I'll say she trusted us in a sense more than we trusted ourselves at the time.
100%.
Yeah.
Because we were like, holy crap, like, can we do this? Like a space? Like this
is Toronto, okay?
First of all,
downtown.
And it wasn't even on our radar. Like I remember telling her like, well, let me go back a bit. The studio owner gave me our own key. So we got a key and we were able to come in as we felt. So in August, she said, I'm not going to be in town. So like have the space as much as you want. And I was like playing house. I was like, this is nice. This is a good vibe. But I remember telling Kim like all this back and forth. We used to have a trolley. We'd go to our storage unit.
Yeah, we had the storage unit, right?
Yeah. So we were bringing our trolley back and forth. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so exhausting. Luckily, at times she was allowing us to leave our stuff here. Mm-hmm. But I remember being like, Kim, like we're going to need a space at some point. Like we got to figure it out. And Kim's like, she's more analytical. So she's like, yeah, okay.
Sure.
Like,
I'm just like, first, let's run the numbers.
Exactly, the numbers.
Numbers game.
So when it came down to it, we're like, okay, we have to do it. We have to try. Like, especially if it's lower risk in the sense of like, okay, we're going to try for a few months and see the momentum that we make. And, we're seeing the fruits of our labor now. And yeah, we decided this is where we want to be and this is how we want to do it.
Yeah.
There's no greater feeling than what you feel when you're just about to take a leap. Like it's like a mix of adrenaline, fear, like nerves, excitement.
Yes.
Fear again.
Yes.
Yeah.
But there's no feeling that matches that. And I feel like that's just what just keeps you going. Because it's just like, I want to keep taking more lips.
Yes.
No matter how I feel in the moment, because I know it's gonna, be fruitful. I know it's gonna work out.
100%.
There's also like a God factor, but like I know that like this is where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay, so now you're in the space. I guess I'm curious, how, in terms of like your future plans, how your members are receiving the space, how do you plan to, and I know we've kind of talked about how you get feedback and how you kind of learn, but in terms of maintaining and longevity and consistency, especially with your brand, being this safe space for Black women, BIPOC women, how do you plan to maintain that over the years? Because 7 years is no small deal,
right?
Let's keep it real. 7 years is like, congratulations. But 7 years from now, what would this look like? I guess that's my question.
I think for us, and that's just something that we probably did from day one, is the importance of diversification. So we have our studio, and in terms of how we operate and maintain the studio, we have things like our weekly classes, we have workshops, we do partnerships, we work with bigger brands. You know, we have our corporate offerings, we do studio rentals. And so we've always ensured that we were diversifying the way that we operate the business. And I think that's important for longevity. Definitely. Because just like what we saw in the pandemic, right? Some of your streams of income can come to a sudden halt at any time and point. And what are you going to do about that? So keep ensuring that we diversify is going to be important. Of course, continuous growth in terms of our community. So like Shanelle said, you know, during the pandemic, we were able to expand to new markets like the US, Europe, some parts of Europe and the Caribbean. So as we continue to grow, that's something in our plans as well, starting with pop-ups. So, you know, we've been asked to come to the US. We've been asked to come to the UK, to go to the UK. So those are the things that we're looking to do. And we are just so like in awe with the community that we've created here in Toronto that we're looking forward to creating that elsewhere.
Wow.
So the Villij definitely is going to have its international leg, right? For us, holistically, what we're looking to do is to expand beyond physical movement. So mental health is very important. Having a leg in the mental health side of things as well. Therapy, counseling, therapy, all of that is going to be something that comes part of our world. Things like products, you know, we are very influential in the things that we do and how we do things. So we have community members, we have folks that are always asking us for recommendations, things that they can do, things that they can purchase to help them on their journey. And so that's really just part of that plan. We, again, are dreamers, and the things that we want to create for ourselves is what we create through the Villij. So even things like retreats, wellness retreats, right? We love travel. And when we travel with a different perspective in ensuring that we're connecting with local communities, ensuring that we are also incorporating restful practices. So things like that we want to bring into our own retreats as well. But yeah.
That's great. I'm just like
a few other things too we can't talk too much on right now, but
you've said a lot. I'm like, wow.
Honestly, that's what I love about working with Kim is that we are so equally yoked, and we have such a dreamer mentality that we actually back it up with hard work as well. So it's been a beautiful journey to work together because like no star is too far to reach.
And that's so important because like having a business partner is important, but having a business partner that envisions you, it's unmatched. It's quite literally make or break because like that's the person, like you said, you're spending so much time together, you're planning things. So imagine if one person was stifling the other or putting unnecessary pressure or fear, that's not really productive, but it's more so keeping you boxed or keeping you limited. So I really love that. I guess you have looked back now and just said that looking back, this is what I really love. Looking back for you, Kim, what is it that you really love about this partnership and how it has shaped the Villij?
I think for the very first time, I've built this relationship with Shanelle, and I trust that she sees me and I see her. And so for us, it's kind of like sometimes we say things like she'll come and say something to me and I'm like, I was just gonna say that to you. You know, like that happens a lot because we really see each other and we validate each other throughout the entire process. And I think that's important even in business to see folks. And that's what makes the Villij even successful. We're seeing the people that feel unseen. And so we have that in our own relationship.
Wow.
You know?
Wow. That's like, I feel like I should snap my fingers. That's a word. And that's like a connection that's soulmate level. Like, that's,
yes.
I was going to say that.
Look, maybe I'm your soulmate.
Maybe you can come set up your office here. No, it's almost like a soulmate because even just now when you were setting up, I came out and I said, oh my gosh, we didn't even offer them a drink. Then Kim says, do you want tea or anything? And I was like, can I speak?
And we locked eyes.
And then she knew. She's like, oh, you're about to ask that. Like, it's insane how I could just give her a look. Even when we look at each other during this interview, I know that she's looking at me like, all right, girl, you say it.
Yes.
We just have that.
Wow.
Like our partners, good luck to them.
Good luck to them because like,
but you know what? They embrace
they
this.
love it.
They see us and they're like such an awe with the relationship that we have.
And they also think that we're going to retire them.
Of course.
They're like, we'll support you.
Wow, I love that. No, I really love something that has really shone through this conversation is that the foundation is strong.
Yes.
The relationship between both of you is strong.
Yes.
And so by default, the foundation of your business is strong.
Yeah.
True.
And I guess one last piece of advice that you can maybe share for someone that is maybe looking to do something similar or is doing something new in a different field and it's just feeling, like I said at the beginning, isolated, lost, not sure. What is that thing you say to them 7 years back that you wish someone said to you starting out?
I'll say that we've always worked intuitively. If it feels right here in our gut, that means we need to do it. We've never had the answers. Folks around us were like, okay, you're going to do this thing. Sounds good. It's not like I could call my mom and say, hey, mom, I'm going to start a wellness company. She'd be like, what the hell? Get your benefits at work.
She was talking about black parents and how they do it.
You know what I mean? Like, okay. And I mean, like, Kim, you could talk about your dynamic with your mom. I feel like your mom's always trusted you, but we've always had to rely on our intuition.
Yes.
And that's gotten us very, very far. And I also think the communication between the two of us is so strong that we're able to just, work through anything. Not that we've even had anything to work through, but you know what I mean? Just even like bouncing ideas off each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'll add on to what Shanelle mentioned about intuition. I would say also, it's like, just put one foot in front of the other. You don't have to have it all figured out. Because for us, if you were to tell us 7 years ago when we started with that very first TrapSoul Yoga experience that this is where we would be, I'd be like, there's no way. There's no way. And so I think sometimes when we try to have a particular vision or strategies, it gets to a point where you feel paralyzed because you're just overthinking it all and you want everything to be perfect before you start or before you make your next step. And it's like, you really need to trust that every little step you take will create the next future steps.
100%.
You don't have to have it all figured out. And that's something I wish, I was told 7 years ago. I think what we really started to see the progress is when we stopped trying to have this whole 5-year plan figured out. We have ideas, and I think that's important, and we have vision clearly, but those wellness retreats, which are going to be actual properties, I don't have a plan for that yet, but I do know it's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
I do know that I do trust that we'll get the resources to make those things happen. And so until then, I'm just going to take those little steps.
I love that. I love what you said about listening to your gut and your intuition. And I love what you said about allowing yourself dream, but still putting one foot in front of each other in the present, because that's for the future. Now is now. But you know what? I have a theory, and I don't know if this will come up some type of way, but I have a theory about Black entrepreneurs and our need for perfection.
Yeah. Talk about it. Let's talk about it.
I think it comes from a place of having to always prove yourself.
100%.
Whether it's to your parents, explaining why you're not going through a career ladder like they did.
Yes.
In some cases, and why you're deciding to focus on this thing that you can't even tell me where it's going to be. And so then we just force ourselves to figure it out so that when the questions come, whether it's from parents, naysayers, haters, whoever, the well-meaning folk that just care about how you're going to pay rent, you have your clap back to be like, I've got it figured out. This is my path to revenue. This is it. But the truth is that, like, unless you have unlimited funding and like unlimited resources, you would never have. And even if you have unlimited resources, COVID could happen. And everything goes to right. But I honestly just hear this need for perfection, and I struggle with it as well. With a lot of like Black entrepreneurs and like marginalized. I don't know if it's a marginalized thing. I don't know if it's an upbringing thing. I don't know if it's because I'm an immigrant. I don't know if it's just
everything in one.
I think it's just a mix of like traumas.
That's what it is.
That just makes you sick for that reaffirmation guarantee that, okay, this is not gonna let me down, and then I have to explain to a bunch of people that
I feel that. It's funny. Like, I just keep going back to my resignation that I sent on May 31st.
Oh,
okay. I remember having this conversation with Kim over and over. Anyways, bless you for listening to me say the same thing over and over, okay? Because I'm that girl. I'll repeat myself with a new epiphany, all right?
That's me.
But I kept having this dream, and I saw my resignation in my dream, and I saw a date. June 14th. And I kept pushing it down, like, no, like, I need to still make money. Like, we're in this transition period with the Villij. You know, we're still trying to build up the studio. Can't quit now. But I kept seeing that number, and I kept waking up at 5 a.m. every morning, couldn't sleep. And, you know, I was just called to do it. And I literally, Thursday evening, I was like over it. I called Kim. It's Kim and my partner. Those are the people I call, you know, if I want to talk through something. And I said, I think I'm going to do it. Funny enough, my 2 weeks notice was June 14th.
Wow.
So this Friday is freedom.
Wow.
And honestly, I don't have all the answers. But again, if I'm relying on my intuition, this is where I need to be.
I love that. And I'm so jealous, but congratulations.
Sister, you next.
Me next. I might just come here and be like, oh, hi, Shanelle.
Yes. Come in the Villij. It'll make you want to quit.
I love that. Thank you so much, Kimberly and Shanelle, for talking to me about your journey so far. I know if people want to find you, just search on. Tell us, actually. Why don't you tell us where people can find you?
So we are on all major social platforms, the Instagrams, the TikToks, the YouTubes. And then, of course, we have our physical space and location. We're here in Toronto, downtown East End. So definitely check us out. You can sign up for our classes, our events on our website, thevillij.com.
I love that. And you know what? Maybe I will give yoga a try again, because I've been so scarred.
Yeah.
Even coming here, I was like, Nina, you know you haven't done wellness since that one class you took. And I was like,
you have to. I mean, honestly, we have so many different offerings that you wouldn't even have to stick with just yoga.
Yes.
We have our mat Pilates, which has been great.
That's the new trend now. The girls
the girls, listen, when
Pilates.
you want that BBL.
Oh, that's what I'm hearing. But
listen,
I was like,
that's that BBL, okay? We also have our Just Checking In experience, our in-house card game that we've created during the pandemic.
That's true.
So that experience is really beautiful because a lot of women are coming alone but leaving as friends. We have friend groups that are celebrating their 1-year anniversary of meeting. These girls meet up once a month to do something together, and they met right here in the Villij.
Yeah.
So it's powerful work that we're doing. And then we have like workshops. We recently had one on friendship breakups in partnership with Bloom Psychology. So we have a lot of things going on. Definitely stay tapped in.
I was going to say the Just Checking In.
Yes.
Is it available to purchase outside of the Villij, or is it an in-house thing?
Yes, we also have it in our online store, along with our specialty candle as well. And totes.
Yeah, and then we are also we do sell them at Makeway, which is a woman-owned sneaker and lifestyle boutique here in Toronto.
Oh, okay.
So back to the diversification conversation, we do have a retail segment as well. So we're looking to get those into new stores, Indigo, stuff like that as well. So
awesome. One thing you're gonna do is diversify.
Hey.
No, I love that. Awesome. No, thank you so much, both of you, for having this conversation with me. I have learned a lot. I have learned that I need to quit my job. And it's
don't take wait now. We said opportunity means preparation.
I know that's right. No, just kidding. But no, I've learned so much as a business owner myself and as someone that's part of the community as well. So thank you so much. And thank you to everyone that's listening in. Thank you for tuning in. And once again, my name is Nina Barango. I will see you next Monday. Bye.